Happy Halloween, everyone.
Trevor Lawrence had
Episode
another
108
disappointing
main card.
performance
Mario in the
Sunday
cart,
in
ready to
London,
go.
scoring only 6.82
What
fantasy
Mario?
points,
It's time for another
and that
Beefy
included
Boys
a
breakdown.
comeback
We're going
canceling
over
interception with under a minute and 40 seconds to play in the game. And you just can't have those things happening. And when I watch Lawrence play, a lot of the positives I saw in him over the first couple of weeks of the season have really gone by the wayside. He's still making those mistakes. He's unable to lead his team in pressure situations such as this one. And I think Lawrence is just a simply inconsistent quarterback who's still adapting at this level. There might be great talent ahead, but he still has those adjustments to make. But at least when I look at him, I say if he's my QB2, there are some extremely favorable matchups on his schedule. He's got a Raiders, a Chiefs, a Lions. He's also got the Titans on there. There are weeks in which he should be worthwhile just simply based upon the matchup, and you hope maybe he gets a rushing score or just avoids the interceptions. Beyond that, I just don't see a lot of optimism today. In Dynasty League, sure, remain optimistic that a future year he'll break through, but for now, he's a shaky mid-range QB2.
Yeah, it should be the co-main. You want to make a social media following, popularity kind of curating situation? How about the guy that was on Joe Rogan's podcast a few months ago?
Jerry Jeudy on Sunday in London scored 18.3 PPR fantasy points, and frankly seemed to have much better chemistry working with quarterback Russell Wilson than any of his Broncos receiver teammates. And Jeudy has continued this uptick in performance over the past 5 weeks. During that time span, he has been the team's leader with a 24% target share. He has 3 end zone targets and more than double the number of first downs than any other Broncos receiver. He has 14 of those, and additionally, he is the team's leader in 25-yard plus receptions with 5. And while there are trade rumors surrounding Jeudy, the fact that Adam Schefter had reported early this morning that the Broncos don't aim to trade him, well, is that going to be a plus or minus? We'll see how this shakes out over the next 24 to 48 hours, but Jeudy, I think, could be productive, and he'll be especially so with a new team other than just getting adapted to a new playbook. I do think he has those advantageous slot receiver matchups. He is the slot receiver for the Broncos. He could fit in there somewhere else, but even if he stays put, he will draw advantageous matchups, and I think that he is back to being a...
He's 6-0-1 in those fights, and he had the split draw against Kutalaba that I'm pretty goddamn sure I scored for him.
Yeah, I believe we both did.
And at least one other judge did. So you're talking about a guy who's essentially might as well be 7-0 in the UFC. And I mean, I'm not saying he's fighting world beaters, but he's not fighting slouches. I mean, we got a Justin Ledet, Maxim Grishin, Kutalaba, Oleg Sajak can knock a motherfucker out. Daun Jung. So, I mean, names that we've heard of, guys that have UFC wins, pretty tough strength of schedule. I mean, and he's finally worked his way into the rankings at number 13. He's a minus 175 favorite coming into this one. And then he's fighting Khalil Rountree, plus 150. I mean, one of the most dangerous fighters in the division. Instead of a guy that's popular, been on Joe Rogan's podcast, the biggest podcast in the world. So, 20, 30 million people know who he is. You know what I mean? Joe's listening.
That's just a few people, I guess, though.
Just like a big state.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Khalil Rountree, I mean, just a big, scary Adonis of a man, you know what I mean? Just a dangerous guy, big power. I mean, and then just the dangerous techniques he likes to do. What's that? The oblique kick to the knee that blows people's knees out.
I mean, he's just Muay Thai to the core, you know what I mean? You can tell.
And he's fighting an actual kickboxing champion.
Right, which makes this a super fun fight. Like, kickboxing versus Muay Thai, always fun. It's almost always a volume versus power matchup and a who can win the leg battle.
And that's exactly what this was. I mean, Jacoby was definitely taking a volume activity, kind of peppering, kind of game plan approach. Rountree was looking for the big shots, the big counters, the big actions. And honestly, both was working. Like, Jacoby...
Yeah, both are finding success. It made it hard as hell to score this fight.
Totally, because Jacoby was setting out what he wanted to do as far as, landing the volume and leading the dance and the activity, and he was landing too. It wasn't like he was just throwing and hitting air. Like, he was landing. It just wasn't the stiffest shots, but a ton of them were landing.
Yeah.
And then Khalil Rountree was getting through, especially as the fight went on.
Not as much, but was landing big power, and was checking kicks pretty well in the first two, I thought.
So round one, I scored to Jacoby. The activity, the straight punches. I thought Rountree was whiffing a lot in round one. Jacoby's defense was like pretty on point. He was getting out of the way of those big shots. He was getting his volume off. So the straight punches were beating the hooks. I like Jacoby's work. I thought round one was actually like decent to score. I thought round 2 and 3 get pretty murky. I feel pretty confident about Jacoby in one.
So I had round 1 to Dustin Jacoby as well. One judge did have round 1 to Khalil Rountree. Granted, his activity was so much lower. I mean, I think the strikes landed were like 37 to 17 or something like that. And so, taking that into account, man, like Dustin Jacoby wasn't landing that softly. Like he was still landing good power, not the best.
He's still the Hanyak, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, granted, Khalil Rountree did rock Jacoby in round 1, I believe.
Yeah.
But he recovered well.
Recovered well, exactly. And I thought the volume was just way too much to like come back with like a decent shot, especially if that shot doesn't like drop you or split you wide open or cause the doctor to come in. You know what I mean? Like it would take a lot to overcome that volume deficit in my estimation. And yeah, Khalil Rountree close but no cigar. Now speaking of close, man, round 2 I think is where this whole murky scorecard starts to kind of come into effect. Because I may talk out of both sides of my neck here in my breakdown of it, because I think if you're talking
So you're 45. That's the perfect age to see some old friends, explore new worlds, and to start screening for colon cancer. Yep, with colon cancer rising in adults under 50, the American Cancer Society recommends starting to screen earlier, at age 45. I'm Cologuard, a non-invasive way to screen at home on your schedule, and I find 92% of colon cancers. I'm for people 45 plus at average risk for colon cancer, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider if Cologuard is right for you.
I like Leon. Back foot almost the entire round. Whole team. I mean, so much volume. But it wasn't volume for the sake of volume. I mean, it's
good volume.
A 6'3" light heavyweight, like landing straight punches. I want to fight a lot of them. So, like, now were they big wind up?
But he now saying,
knees? Were they dropping Rountree?
No. We make the
But,
decision for you. Please relax, chill. Enjoy, champ. You earned
volume punches
and it can honestly
kind of at will from the guy that was
imagine lose to Kobe or Masvidal.
So it's like,
oh my God,
how you juxtapose that? Like, one guy clearly won the damage battle.
Hey,
like, wasn't
champ,
close. Like
relax,
damage,
enjoy
all that.
Get the sponsor,
one
get
guy
all this money.
controlled
Because
the entire
in March,
round
this will change.
And outlanded
the king will be back.
Probably 2-1, and
brother.
Decent amount of damage off himself.
So the strikes on this one come out 36-27.
But at the end of the day,
36-27, so not as much of a deficit,
London,
but still
Africa,
a
New
lot.
Zealand,
I mean,
Europe,
I gave it to Jacoby.
You understand?
I totally understand giving this to Rountree. I thought it was like essentially like a coin flip type of round.
Congratulations.
Very subjective.
But
I did.
Everybody know what happened.
The way Jacoby would eat the power, though, and still march forward and just still do the exact same thing he was doing before he would eat the shot, I thought resonated well with my eyes, my eye test, my scorecard. Because it wasn't like, there was never like a moment where I at least to my
right now we have
that, like Rountree would land a big
ongoing
shot
police
and then,
investigation.
Like, it would kind of change what
happened in
the
the
direction the round was going. Like
egregious,
he would land the big shot and then continue to eat shots. And then he'd land the big shot, then he'd get right back on his back foot and eat a couple more shots. Like
on social media,
I don't know. He was never
right
really
now,
able to like
and,
leverage those big shots
also the ABC
into like taking
tunnel
control
cam
of the round.
is
I agree. Yeah, and so I ended up scoring it for Rountree just due to the damage, man. I thought,
much more,
landing less strikes, but landing the bigger strikes.
As I said,
not landing that many less strikes.
Those are,
and honestly, Jacoby's a lot of his were leg kicks too.
There needs to be accountability
when it comes down to it, but they were heavy leg kicks. I'm not going to take away from him. I mean, there were times he was turning Roundtree's leg and getting the calf. And there were some really good ones. So I'm not trying to devalue him, but I do think Rountree won in a large way from the damage standpoint.
That they won't.
And so
I can't imagine that this will not result
in
criminal
and
charges.
I think there's totally an argument for that. I don't even hate it. Like I said, I pretty much made that argument like Rountree clearly won the damage battle. It was kind of unimpressive. Like I said, when he would land those big shots, he was never able to like. I don't know if you want to use the word take advantage or just like take control or take it to the next level. You know, Jacoby was always able to kind of get the fight back where he wanted it at the range that he wanted it.
To our program, and we have
never let it really derail him. But you're right. He was cracking Jacoby with some huge shots.
Now,
Round 3 was even more violent than round 2. This fight was like a crescendo. Every round got more and more
will not get the job done.
I mean, round 3 was a full-blown war.
Both guys' hands like almost at their hips at times.
For the many individuals.
Khalil Rountree unveiled a technique that he didn't use once in the first 10 minutes, which was the clinch knee game.
Yeah,
Those
3
knees
big
were getting
knees.
up there. And, I mean, credit shows how good of an athlete Rountree is because, I mean, Jacoby's 6'3". I mean, he was getting his knee all the way up there.
And how tough Jacoby is to eat those because 2 of them landed clean.
Clean. Like, how did that not knock out Eddie Heeman? Yeah, no doubt. I think you see where I'm going with this. I mean, I love those clinch knees from Rountree were the most effective strikes of either man landed the entire fight. I gave Rountree 3 in an absolute war. I mean, Jacoby was, like I said, eating those knees, firing his own shots back. It was a brawl in round 3. I mean, both men had some success, but those clinch knees just were another level of damage.
It had been coming for
I couldn't ignore it. Like in round 2, like I acknowledged Khalil Roundtree's damage, but I was like, I still made an argument for Jacoby. But those knees were just the exclamation point sign sealed delivered. Like there's no argument to be made. Like those won the round.
Brian Harsin was a terrible fight.
I agree with you completely, man. I think that the strikes were really close. I think Rountree actually outstruck him this round. Way more activity from Rountree, which was surprising. Just due to the lack of it through round to start with round 1, and then 2 kind of picked up, and then 3. It was like a crescendo with his activity almost. And then that damage pretty much kept continuing. Jacoby looked really beat up at the end of the fight. I mean, if you just visually looked at both guys by the end of the fight, it was like Jacoby was beat up bad. Not that Rountree didn't have damage on him, just wasn't the same. I scored the fight 29-28. Rountree. 2 judges agree. 1 judge has a your card, 29-28 for Jacoby. Super close fight. I think it's split decision's fine here.
Yeah, I think that's between our scorecards and the judges' scorecards, I think it's an accurate representation of like how this fight went. Because if you're using purely damage, Khalil Rountree definitely won for sure, man. So I mean, that's a big win for Rountree. I mean, Jacoby's 13. That probably gets. I mean, Rountree up in the rankings. Let's see here the light heavyweight rankings real quick. I don't want to spend a ton of time real quick. Just have a little bit of a conversation. I mean, you got Murzakanov, Jimmy Crew, Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker, Ozdemir, all hanging out. Paul Craig, all at the back of the light heavyweight division, and none of those guys you could say are really on a roll. Maybe Murzakanov, I'm not as familiar with him. I'll be completely honest, but like. I mean, out of all those guys, Dustin Jacoby probably had the biggest, head of steam. He probably had the most momentum out of all those names, even the guys ranked above him. I mean, Ozdemir coming off a loss. Johnny Walker, I think, is he coming off a loss, or did he finally right the ship? I'm not sure. Ryan Spann hasn't fought in like 2 years, I feel like. And then Jimmy Crew, I think, coming off a loss.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Jimmy Crew fight.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a lot. There's an easy way to climb the rankings in light heavyweight. I mean, Paul Craig, I think, coming off a loss.
Everyone knows that I like Zach Wilson as well.
7, 8
if
up,
I was
you
in
get to
Zach
the
Wilson's
Krylov, the
quarterback room
Jamal
right now, this
Hills.
is what I'd say to him.
There's a big gap.
Time to
But
grow
light
up,
heavyweight,
dude.
not the deepest division, especially the top 15.
Garrett Kubiak called me over as a young quarterback one time and said, you got to understand, man, that when you have that ball in your hands, you have everybody else's job in our
all those guys will strike with him. Ozdemir
not just yours.
Walker will
it's
strike
everybody.
with him. Ryan
There's a
Spann will
difference
strike with him.
between
Jacoby did
carelessness
strike with
and
him.
aggression.
Those
There's a
are all
difference
fun. Probably
between
Murzakanov
confidence
probably the most,
and ego.
like,
Right now, you play with such ego, such carelessness, such recklessness with the football.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's
but I mean,
moments in that game you sit there and go,
that's just another guy climbing the rankings, fun, exciting style, big athletic guys, a lot of fun. But yeah, we can keep it pushing, man, because up next, and this is where we're starting to get to some of our card placement conversation. We got Josh Fram, minus 155 fighting Trayshawn Gore. And I'm pretty sure, like, Gore's on a 2L streak. Fram lost his debut. Both middleweight kind of prospects. Now, I understand why they're trying to get Gore. He was the guy that was essentially set up to win the Ultimate Fighter. The battle won it. But, like, if the script had gone kind of according to plan, for lack of better terms, Gore would have been the guy they had winning it. I think he was, like, the first picked guy, all that type of shit. He loses in the tough finale to Brian Battle, and I think he's lost one more fight since then.
Yeah, Cody Brundage. Tough L.
Cody Brundage. Tough L. And so I understand the UFC wanting to kind of give Gore, some more exposure, kind of get this storyline back in action. But the Josh Fremd matchup really does nothing for me. Now, Fremd, big, tall guy, I think he's 6'4". I mean, he's a minus 155 favorite. If this fight took place on the prelims, I'd be probably talking about how dope of a fight it was. The card placement above the Jacoby Rountree fight kind of just bugged me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not a big Josh Fremd guy. After I watched him fight Anthony Hernandez, I didn't think Josh Fremd was like anything that was going to be hard for someone in the UFC to really deal with. And I'm not big on Tresean Gore either. I kind of thought this was like a mid-prelim fight.
Exactly. It's on our main card. And, I mean, Gore, plus athlete. I mean, to his credit, and he did talk about it, it kind of sounds a little excusey when he does talk about it. But, like, I think he went on to the Ultimate Fighter 3-0. So, I mean, he's as green gets, and he's a plus athlete. And in his own words, he's learning on the job. So I don't know if that's an excuse or what, but it is point to your, like, we're not super high on him for that reason. Like, it kind of doesn't matter.
Kind of too early.
Yeah, like that's not on us. Like, I understand the guy trying to hop on opportunity. I'm not saying he should have done anything different, but when you come to the UFC at 3-0 and then you're kind of playing catch up, it's tough. We've seen it, I don't think we've ever seen anybody really pull it off successfully.
No, yeah, exactly right, man. It's a hard thing to do, and with that, I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on it. We do get one full round here, which I was surprised at these odds, right? So middleweight, Tresean Gore is the plus 135 underdog. Or wait, I'm sorry. Did I write that wrong?
Yeah, no, you did. No, Gore was plus 135 dog. Yeah, Fred was minus 155 favorite.
Yeah, minus 155. I hit the wrong button. That's why. I had minus 440 or 144. I was like, what did I mean to put?
Yeah, no worries, man. But yeah, Gore, I thought in round one it was impressive because, like I said, Gore is probably about 5'10". He's fighting a guy that's like 6'4". And he was getting his jab off. You know how quick you got to be 5'10", getting your jab off on the 6'4" guy? I mean, and he was able to land the power shots too, and he got a takedown. I thought Gore was pretty goddamn good. He got the takedown. The jab was landing kind of at will, hella stiff, on the much taller guy, which was just visually impressive to me. And he was able to set up a couple power shots, which that's his whole thing. He's a big power punching guy. So he's showing the development, right? The understanding of distance, the timing, the ability to initiate some takedowns after he's been taken down in his losses. So I mean, he is growing and he is learning on the job. Looked a lot better, probably the best we've seen from him in round one of this fight.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You noted it perfectly. The fact he was able to get in and out so well and land that jab and pretty much not take much damage back from Fremd, which was like crazy.
Visually nuts to watch.
And it made Fremd start to get nervous about the shots coming in, and that's when he was able to get in and get the takedown. Nice takedown too.
Yeah.
And then
big slam.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like shows his strength, his explosiveness. Definitely a plus athlete. You know what I'm saying?
Plus athlete for sure.
And definitely won the damage battle there in the striking exchanges in the first round, like clearly. So I had a 10-9.
Checked every box pretty much.
Now Fremd did close the round strong, I thought. Good finish of the round. Made it where it wasn't like a 10-8 because it wasn't just dominance.
Exactly. Yeah. Did just enough. And then but man, 49 seconds into round two, we get one of the most visually wild-looking / potentially scary-looking submissions that, I mean, I can remember in recent memory.
Yeah, like, literally, Gore catches the guillotine after the shot attempt by Fremd, gets it really tied up on the neck, and Fremd starts running on the cage pretty much to try and get out of it. And Gore is, like, so tight on it that he just kind of, like, rolls with it, essentially, or rotates with it, and it leaves it where Fremd's neck is just, like, cranked, like, where he looks like a giraffe neck with it. And he's... It
looked like if you've ever, like, had to finish off a duck that you shot but you didn't kill, and you have to give the old fucking crank whine, that's pretty much what it looked like. It looked bad. When it was just, like, awkward, because, like, you know, Gore by no means a jiu-jitsu ace, so, like, it was locked in kind of squirrely and awkward from the jump. And Gore was just such a freak athlete, he was just squeezing the piss out of it. So that's probably why Fremd felt like he could wall walk and get out of it, because it wasn't perfectly locked in or like technically sound.
Yeah, he wasn't cranking up on the arm, you know what I mean? He was just like lifting his forearm.
So that's probably why Fremd thought there was like a path out of it. And then, yeah, they end up in this really dangerous looking, just it's kind of not even scramble, because Gore's it was just a vice grip, man. It was locked in so tight. So Gore gets the guillotine sub, gets a $50K bonus for it. Happy for him for there. I mean, big highlight victory. I saw it that made the big ESPN account, not even ESPN MMA. That was getting like Instagram and tweeted out by like the big ESPN account. So, I mean, Gore, they definitely want him to succeed. He's definitely getting the quote unquote like push because he's a tough guy, you know what I mean, the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know, man. I mean, all the potential in the world. It's just, yeah, he's so green. He is learning on the job, you know, beating, you know, a guy like Fremd. Do we learn too much from it? I mean, we learned that he can deal with a tall fighter. I don't know, man. How do you feel about Gore moving forward? I mean, does this change your opinion of him at all?
A little bit, yeah, actually. I think we're seeing a lot of growth, and I mean, if that continues, not even necessarily much more, if that's to be even the case, I think he can kind of fight with even the middle bottom guys at least and get victories there. So I think he's kind of just a middle of the pack middleweight right now. But if he keeps getting better, he could, you know, show us something different. But for now, I think he's just kind of middle of the pack middleweight, maybe middle bottom.
It would be kind of salty to do to Dolidze, because we were mentioning some pretty big things for him a moment ago when we broke him down on our last prelim episode. However, I mean, Gore Dolidze has potential to be a lot of fun, and then like the winner of that could like maybe that earns them the ranked matchup. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I think Dolidze is already on to ranked guys almost, whereas I think Gore is kind of too far down.
Okay, fair. So does that mean you think Dolidze would be too much for Gore, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fair. That's a fun question I wanted to ask you. But yeah, man, Gore cashes plus 135 dog. I didn't bet that fight. If I did, I probably would have bet Gore, though. So, I mean, it's probably just down on me. But we can keep it pushing to complain about card placement yet again, because we have one of our least favorite fighters in Jared Vanderaa, plus 165 against Waldo Cortez Acosta, Dana White Contender Series guy, minus 195, fighting at heavyweight. Acosta's undefeated at 7-0. Pretty interesting story for Acosta, that he was he was a baseball player. He's a Dominican guy, big baseball player, I think a pitcher, and he got
94 mile an hour fastball.
Yeah, he got in some big brawl and knocked the guy out. He's like on the Cincinnati Reds minor league system, I believe. And then I think got kicked off the team or kicked out of the league or whatever it was. And that's how he started fighting, which is, I mean,
that's
not
hilarious.
Advisable. But that's like a story of old school MMA, right? That reminds me back when the sport was, you don't see too many stories like that nowadays is what I'm getting at. Like the guy that, you know, knocked a couple guys out, got into some trouble, and figured he'd give it a try as a profession. That's wild. But also, it's super cliche, but it's also, you can see it. When he throws that right hand, it looks like he's throwing a baseball, and it has some fucking heat on it. It's
no doubt, man. It's pretty quick, too. It comes fast. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man.
And I don't like Jared Vanderaa. So, I mean, I hope they throw if he loses this fight, he has to be cut, right?
Is he on a 4L streak or a 3L streak? I forget.
Let's see.
You know, I'm pulling that up.
I got it right here, yeah.
You got a whole lot of red on that Tapology. I know that.
So if he loses this one, he'd be on a 5L streak.
Are you shitting me? Holy shit! Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's not typically somebody who stays on the roster unless it's in them snow and sand. But bless you, man. But
thank you.
Man, so this fight was a really each man was one-dimensional. Vanderaa was going to throw leg kicks till the cows came home, and Acosta was going to throw fucking piss missiles until one connected. Neither guy was really stopping the other guy from doing what they wanted to do. It was honestly just like something's got to give, like because I mean, Cortez Acosta's leg was getting badly damaged, and he was showing it. He was
even round one.
He was like dragging that leg around, and he was so green and like untrained that he couldn't really fight switch stance. So he would like switch stance for like a split second and then be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know how to do this."
Like, "Oh yeah, I can't throw my combos this way."
And so his leg was absolutely destroyed. Credit to him, he was a dog. He kept going and finding a way and just kind of dragging that thing around. Kept marching forward. And then he was landing his power, man, and finding the range. That's what's most impressive to me, man. A guy that grew up playing baseball, kind of untrained, kind of green, but his ability to find range and actually like connect was super impressive, kind of innate, right? I mean, obviously he trains, but kind of comes natural to him finding that distance because, I mean, a lot of young green heavyweights whiff a lot, you know what I mean? But he very accurate puncher for a young green power punching plus athlete. You know what I'm saying? Usually range is the missing ingredient from that package, but he seems to have it.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And like he has good power too, like we talked about, right?
And speed. Like it was like the turning speed into power. You know what I mean? Like that's
now granted this is Jared Vandera. So
one of the slower heavyweights. So
right.
A lot of guys are gonna look fast. But didn't she like so I mean I scored round one very close for Acosta.
I did as well. I mean, just because the leg kicks were doing so much damage.
So much damage.
And he was so bad in his switch stance.
It was kind of just like that school ground, playground, like, all right, one guy's kicking one guy in the leg and the other guy's punching him in the face. The face punching is going to kind of win a scorecard. But damage to the leg was really bad. And you saw the writing on the wall that like this was going to be an issue. And I honestly thought it was going to end up being too much for him. We'll see if it does. But I give round two to Vandera. The leg kicks, of course, he kept at him, kept the damage. Acosta was really slowing down as a result of that. Like he was getting so much damage on the leg kicks that it was slowing down Acosta's offense, which was like super effective, obviously. And as a result, Vandera was kind of able to close the gap with the boxing in round two. It wasn't that Vandera was doing more, but he caused Acosta to do less, which made the boxing strikes more even. Then you factor in the leg kick damage. I kind of feel like you got to give two to Vandera.
I did as well. One judge ended up giving it to Waldo, but I thought Vandera definitely won that round just based on keeping up the leg kicks, which were obviously doing a bunch of damage. And the boxing was a lot closer, I thought. So just like you said, when you factor in the leg kicks with the almost 50-50 and the striking with the hands, it's like, how do you not give it to Vandera?
And then round three, I kind of viewed it through a weird lens. And maybe it's fair, maybe it's not. But let me just tell you how I was looking at round three. I was like, because clearly we nothing was going to change. Vandera was going to keep leg kicking, and Acosta was keep looking for the home run shot. And so... But I almost got to a point where I was like, all right, man, if Vandera doesn't like drop him with these leg kicks, like essentially if Acosta's just going to take these leg kicks and like, yeah, it'll be painful and yeah, it may not look great body language, but if it's not going to end the fight, then I kind of have to score it differently. Like I said, maybe that's fair, maybe that's not. But by round three, especially a couple minutes into round three, I'm like, well, I mean, if these leg kicks aren't going to like, you know, finish or injure or Acosta, then it's kind of got to be Acosta, right? If he's going for it, you know, hard punches to the head, power shots landing, jabs still, really, you know, outboxing him kind of like he did in round three. Looked a lot more similar to round one. And I don't know, man. I went to Acosta. Like I said, I kind of started to like score. Once I realized that those leg kicks weren't going to end the fight and Acosta was able to take them and kind of hold up, I kind of had to score him a little bit differently, maybe right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't know if you saw it the same way.
I kind of did see it that way. Like, I did start to factor him in less the more I saw, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then also I thought Acosta was landing just enough in the third round either way to still win that damage battle and to essentially win the third round.
Yeah, for sure, man. I also, like, I think round one was probably the murkiest. I think Vandera won 2 pretty clear, and Waldo won 3 pretty clear. I mean, Bandera, but like I said, I can't necessarily say I fault him for staying after the leg kicks. He was having so much success. It would have been dope to maybe see him finish the combination with the leg kick. You know what I mean? And I think that would have the judges would have liked that a lot more. It was pretty much just spamming leg kicks. They said, but at the same time, when you were watching that fight, when I was watching the fight, I was holding my breath. Every time a leg kick landed, I kind of expected to see Acosta go down, but he just never did.
Yeah, I don't know if that's toughness or what. it has to be because he obviously switched it at first and then just decided I'm just going to eat him, which was pretty crazy because we've seen guys get stopped with leg kicks and his leg was chewed up.
Cub Swanson,
right?
You just saw it, Cub Swanson. I thought I was expecting to see a very Cub Swanson, Jonathan Martinez-esque finish, and it just never came.
Right,
you know what
I mean? Kind of surprising by the end of the fight. I can't even lie about that.
And also, Acosta, I'm literally, I'm not even trying to make a joke. I don't think he knows how to check yet. He's that early in his development.
Yeah, he was just eating them all.
He didn't even attempt to check any. It wasn't there was no checks. So Cortez Acosta, it's weird, man, because it's the upsides are so up and the holes are so big that it's really hard for me to project. Am I supposed to project forward great things for a guy that doesn't know how to check a leg kick? There's some very basic things that he hasn't even began to really grasp. But there's also, he's obviously a plus athlete, former pro baseball player. The power's real, the speed's real. He's obviously a dog mentally to be tough and march through those leg kicks and the pain and all that. So there's a lot to like there. But like I said, there's also some glaring, really basic holes. It's tough. He has time, and just obviously you keep getting better each camp and all that good stuff. But as far as projecting just great things, he kind of reminds me of a Tanner Bozer, dangerous and some skills and some probably some fun matchmaking to be had there. But I don't know, some big holes, and I don't know if I project top end high level shit from him.
Right. Although I do think he's in the right weight class, because I think Tanner Bozer could probably stand and just drop the weight and go down at this point. But with that being said, yeah, I agree with you. Cortez Acosta, big holes that I think are coachable and fixable, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of technical holes, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. Real quick, don't want to spend too much time on it. Yes or no, Rosario de Lima versus Acosta?
I'm going to go no. I'm going to go Chase Sherman and Josh Parisian have a fight booked. I'm going to say the winner of that should fight Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Oh, okay. I'm with that. Probably a better idea, for sure, man. We'll keep it pushing to this co-main. Probably should put air quotes on that co-main because, we got Tim Means, plus 160, fighting Max Griffin, minus 190. Cool thing about this fight is this was a little treat for guys that have been watching UFC a while, you've been watching the UFC 10 years, kind of from a bygone era. Not a super bygone era, but both of these guys probably not held in the same standing as they were a few years back.
It's it was almost the co-main just based on name value alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, name value, nostalgia.
Not that I don't enjoy watching either guy fight. They do bring good fights, and this was a pretty good fight overall.
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, we got unranked guys, older guys. It just depends the lens you want to view it through. Like I said, I would have liked to see Jacoby and
Rountree get this spot.
Rountree in this spot, So it's more – I thought it was disrespect to Rountree and Jacoby and the things that they've done recently. I feel you. These guys have put in time in the company, time served, you know what I mean? A lot of octagon minutes between these guys. So, whatever. I understand it. It's just not necessarily how I like to see my cards be built.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it was out of place. Like we said, all due respect to these guys, they were ranked fighters that are in much more of a chase in their weight classes than these guys. So why not put them as the co-main, right? Sell me something that has a good story or can build into something more, because this is a fight night, right? So we're trying to put people on pay-per-views from this. We're trying to build people
exactly.
To sell.
And I think that was a missed opportunity to build up one of these younger guys for sure. Now, that being said, I think I have kind of a hot take, or tell me if you think it's a hot take. I don't really remember seeing anybody else really score it this way. I had round 1 at 10-8 for Griffin, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. The knockdown was big, like, and violent, and like just really popped off the screen for me. And then, but it wasn't. If it was just that knockdown and the rest of the round was pretty 50-50, I'd just go 10-9. But the rest of the round, like, Griffin landed like other bombs. Like, that wasn't the only bomb. Now, that was the only one that dropped him. But there were like a 3-4 more shots that probably could have.
On an eerie Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
You said you want a new coach, right?
Hey,
the coaching carrots.
33! Try, hit the hole! Don't dance to it!
You don't. It picks for you.
It might be a little fluky or whatever, but
a esto le dicen fútbol. That's an international soccer coach.
Esto es football! The wrong football!
I guess the eye test, I gave it a 10. Now, I did struggle. I did kind of debate it.
Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
Right now we have an ongoing police investigation.
I thought Means just got enough of his own damage
what
off
happened
back
in the tunnel
to warrant
egregious.
a 10-9 from my scorecard.
Sickening to watch the
That's
videos.
pretty much all it was.
That are,
I won't say that Max Payne Griffin wasn't. I was calling
on
Max
social
Payne,
media.
but Max Griffin
right
wasn't
and,
dominant in the round.
also the
I think
ABC
Tim Means just like
tunnel
fought back well
cam.
enough.
So I think we're kind of like saying the same thing, like conceivably at 10-8. Like you had to ask yourself the question, like, should I 10-8?
Yeah,
and I asked myself
Set
the same question.
And my only reason I pretty much didn't was I was like, well, he did recover super.
There needs to be accountability. There needs to be a full,
for sure,
thorough, timely
like I said,
investigation.
On my part,
I can't imagine
I'll say it with my
that
chest.
these
But round 2, man.
will not.
I actually had
that they won't.
Griffin stealing the round. I was like, okay, 10 Means. I was like on my way to like writing 10 Means 10-9.
Are bad.
And at the very end of the round, he got another
what
knockdown and more big damage. And it was just so
very open and
impactful.
shut.
Good ground and pound after that knockdown.
And like what Tim Means was winning the round
from a perspective
it was just like a volume
of being a
kind
parent
of straight, like
and these
volume
young men
kind of pitter pat kind of. It wasn't
are entrusted
very impactful
to be by their
damaging.
families
So he
to
was
our
winning the
program,
round
and
very
we have the
numbers
responsibility
game,
to each
point
player
style of round
to treat
winning.
them like
But
our
then
own.
when Max Griffin
And
just
I take that responsibility
gets
very
pretty
seriously.
goddamn close. I mean, you could argue maybe say by the
An
bell a
apology
little
will
bit,
not get the
pretty
job
close to
done in
finishing
this instance.
Tim Means at the end.
Serious
I
consequences.
thought it was enough to make up the distance. I had Griffin stealing round 2 at the very
that are
end.
culpable.
So
And on behalf of the 22,
I had the whole round of 10
2022
Means, but it wasn't by a
Michigan
lot,
football
right?
team.
Because the damage
Exactly.
really wasn't all that different.
our players, our coaches,
Because even
our
though he was
staff, our
outlanding Max
university,
Griffin was still landing
this
good
has been a very
shots, right?
traumatic
Just not near as
experience.
many.
Exactly.
So it kind of
For
evened out the
everybody.
boxing.
Especially,
And then, like you said, he drops him at
for,
the end and
Jaden
lands
and
all that
Javon.
good ground and pound. And I was like I pretty much had to score it for Griffin.
we will support them.
Exactly. Man, I
support
thought the exact
them.
same way.
And,
Man,
and their
and then,
families in every possible
round
way.
3, pretty close. Kind of worth talking about, man. How'd you see round 3?
So Griffin gets the takedown, and then Means does a bunch of striking from the bottom, right?
Looking
Like
at this,
bunch.
I can't say it's all that
And
surprising.
Griffin really isn't able to
It
get
had
too
been
much of his own
coming
damage
for
off
quite
from
a while.
top. I
It
honestly
started in
thought
February
Means probably won
of this
the
past
damage
year when
battle
there
on
was
the
an
ground.
inquiry made into how the program
Yeah,
was
Griffin
being
did have
run,
some good ground
the
and
things that
pound
were going
himself,
on
though,
behind
too.
the
But yeah,
scenes, all of
Means
which
was being
proves to
active from
be
the bottom.
untrue. But either way,
Did you think
here's
that
where
Tim
we're
Means
at.
was able to do
Ryan
enough
Harsin's
at
a
the end
terrible
of the round to kind of steal the round? Because that's kind of
Doesn't
how I
mean he's a
view
bad
this round, like the
coach.
lens. Like
Doesn't mean
That's
he's
where I
almost
argue
the
with
exact
myself
opposite
is
of
did he
round
steal the
2.
round?
The
Like
reality
that's where I
is
argue
he
with
was a
myself.
terrible
Because
fit.
Griffin had, I think, a
Auburn
little bit of a
wants
lead
things
big
done
built up. I thought
Auburn's
Griffin
ways.
was winning the round. He was on top.
It's the
Yeah, he
way
was
it's
getting hit,
always
but he was
been.
hitting
It's the
back,
way it's
and he was
always
on
going
top.
to be.
Keyword being he was on top.
If you look at
And
just
and
what
then at
Auburn
the
is in the
at the end of the round, Means was able to
I
have
live
some
in Birmingham,
success.
Alabama. My
I'll go ahead and
grandfather
say it.
went
I
there.
didn't think it was
I have
enough
a
to
fairly
steal the
good
round.
understanding
I gave round 3
of
to
what this
Griffin
program's
too.
all about.
However,
Okay, there are
Tim
power
Means made me
brokers
did
that are
enough to make me
stronger
ask the question
at
again. Did he just steal
Auburn
that?
than the
And I
university
came down on the
president.
side of no, he didn't,
They
because
can run
Tim Means'
the
just
program
lack of damage.
if they
I mean,
want
throughout the fight was
And
pretty
they've
much the
tried.
story. Like he
And
had
when
success,
Brian Harsin was in
but
charge,
didn't really
they
inflict
failed.
damage. And Griffin,
That's why Brian
he
Harsin
lost some
is essentially
positions,
on his
but
way
inflicted a fuck ton
It's
of damage.
not
So I ended up coming down on the side of Griffin in almost every instance. I did. I mean, I scored a 30-27 Griffin.
Yeah, so I scored it to Tim Means that round. I just thought his work from the bottom was enough to where whenever he was on the feed instances, overall damage was pretty close. But I also thought that even controlling the position on top for Griffin, granted he did have a good ground and pound himself, but I think didn't really win that position too much. You know what I mean? So I kind of didn't credit the control as much. So I think that's why I gave it to Means. Now I did have to think to myself, like, is this a Griffin round? Because of control, and that's when I thought to myself, like, well, his control wasn't really that much of a good position for him necessarily.
Yeah, so I ended up with a really weird scorecard. Actually, no, I scored 30-26 Griffin, which nobody agrees with on Earth. I thought it was a little bit of a hot take.
One judge had a 30-27, so you're close.
Yeah, one judge had a 30-27. No, I think to give Tim Means 2 and 3 is egregious.
Yeah, which is what Eric Colon did.
That's bad, dude. That's real bad.
I can't see it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I mean that's giving Tim Means every benefit of the doubt.
Everyone knows that I like Zach Wilson as well.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I thought at the end of this fight, it was like clearly Max Griffin won this fight.
Like, giving him one, or like giving him 2 or 3, okay,
Garrett Kubiak called me over as a young quarterback one time and said,
you got some Means-colored glasses
on. When you have that ball in your hands, you have everybody else's job in our building.
One judge 30-27, one judge 29-28, one judge 28-29.
There's a difference between carelessness and aggression. There's a difference between
I bet Tim Means. I picked Tim Means. I bet Tim Means.
Right now you play with such ego, such carelessness, such recklessness with the football.
I don't know.
And there's moments in that game you sit there and go, that's what it looks like. There's that second round talent. But
then as far as for what's next for Max Griffin, he just hasn't been very active, so it's tough to kind of
You are a talented enough player, and there's 70 snaps a game. This means you
he's
have
just kind of one of those vets in the
welterweight
UFC
right now,
division where it's like
football team, and
he's just probably going to keep fighting vets or new guys, right?
Playing against the Mountain West.
Yeah, we're trying to see real quick. I'm going to this topology. Because before this he lost to Neil Magny, but then he has a win over old Carlos Condit. And then he has a win over Brahma, which hasn't aged that well. Losses to Cowboy Oliveira and Alex Morano before that.
Against the New England Patriots, where you haven't won in such a long time.
I mean,
do you start to press and say, okay, this is the game
that I can prove
to everybody that I'm to do?
The older guys than him, or and loses the kind of the people that are more relevant. So yeah, I mean, I guess he's gonna. I think because Cowboy Oliveira retired. I think he's going to make the new Cowboy Oliveira
every
fight in the
interception looks like this.
I think, honestly.
Probably.
Away, running back and just throwing the ball up.
See
like that last interception.
Which is why this fight wasn't dope as a co-main.
Right, that's what I was just about to say, is that I don't have much to say about it as a future, and that's what makes it a horrible co-main event, because, like, what are we building him to?
Exactly, because even if Tim Means would have won, okay, he had just had the bad loss that wasn't that competitive to Kevin Holland.
Well, Trade to Opposites tells us that the Ravens won.
We know where Kevin Holland stands, which is what we can
and think they can.
And so they're all this fight was kind of like a doubt, but only in like a one-night only type
of deal. If Roquan were to walk after this year,
it could be too much of a fallout future projection-wise.
I don't know.
Either way, regardless of who won.
But from a football
perspective, why I wouldn't have put it up to co-main. Let's get to this featherweight main event, because it does prove to be anticlimactic. However,
that's been improving over the
right,
last few
wrong,
weeks,
or
but has
indifferent,
struggled
it does
with
provide
on
some
defense.
clarity.
I think this frees up
Fight
Patrick Queen
matchup,
to
and it does
do more of what
provide
he
some
does really
clarity
well, which is
within like the future of this
blitzing. He's
division.
just,
This division finds
like
itself
a
in a very
complete
weird
NFL
spot
linebacker. It
because
just makes
the
them better.
champion is going up a weight class, but still holding on to that belt. And most people predict there's going to be an interim belt, but there's like 4 or 5 guys that have a decent claim / argument to fight for that interim belt. Like seriously, it's real interesting spot this division finds itself in. I see, and I have a big problem with what the winner of this fight says about the division.
Yeah, me too.
Because I see it very differently. Let's get to it, man. We got Arnold Allen, minus 110, coin flip, 6th ranked featherweight, undefeated in the UFC. I think he has 1 loss on his record that happened before he was in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. 8-fight win streak in the UFC, something insane.
But also you look at
fighting Calvin Kattar. Minus 110, say coin flip, either guy in favor. 5th ranked featherweight, who
but also a blitzing.
It's so hard to interpret Calvin
He's going to help their pass rush
We've
too.
seen
Yeah.
him look so bad against Giga. We've seen him look so good against Giga. we've seen the highest of highs and the lowest lows. Obviously, the truth's probably somewhere in the middle. But is he just like a streaky guy, like a streaky like J.R. Smith shooter, where like
tell me this.
one game J.R. will go like 8 for 8 on threes, and the next game he'll go 0 for 6. You know what I mean? It's like you catch Kelvin Cater on the right night or the wrong night,
that has more
you just never know.
In every single game than Geno Smith.
I don't know, man.
That's just
it's
the God's
like
honest truth.
we're all his right
game,
nights though against guys that are
6,
kind of
7, 8,
that top 10 and back.
What do you attribute this to?
Or number 10 and back.
Experience. This is his
10th
year in the NFL.
Against guys that are in
He's
the top
got
10.
hardened
You know what I mean?
skin
Like,
from
is
failure
it a
and
competition
disappointment,
level kind of
and
thing?
he hasn't let failure conquer him. He's just used it to kind of get better and better and better.
I still
the
like
ability to
Giga
sit
a
and
lot.
watch
I
and
think that,
kind
like,
of learn
maybe that was
and
a
not
bad
having
night
that
for
pressure.
Giga or
There's a
something,
good
but,
football
like, I'm
team
not trying
around
to
him.
make excuses. Tune the fuck down.
Yeah, and also
I don't know because I'm not going to try to like look at the Giga win as like a lower end win. Like, I don't know, but like I said, I'm kind of a Giga guy, so I might be skewed.
Yeah, that was a good win. I will give him that.
Your mishaps and your bad.
Yeah,
masterclass against a striker.
I don't know. I really liked Arnold Allen coming into this fight. I was going to say that at minus 110, I loved the value. I thought it was a steal.
We had them in the preseason.
I have 2 bets
I remember
on this
sitting
fight.
with Gino,
I
and
picked
he said
Arnold Allen
something that
money
like kind
line.
of he said
I too saw the value
best part of
there.
this situation is I
We've
just
been
have to
kind
be
of
111.
arguing
Like,
or
I don't
like
have to be
making a
anything more
lawyer
than
ball
I
argument
actually
that
am.
Arnold Allen could
And the
already
reality
fight
is there's
for a
one
title.
quarterback in
8-fight
the
win
league right
streak.
now
What else
that
do you have
less
to
than
do?
10% of his throws are
This was
considered
his
off
first
target.
main event. This was pretty much the last box.
I mean, he's throwing the ball as good as anybody in the league. I'll say that again. Geno Smith
there. So, and I thought
throwing the ball
I
as
view
good as
Calvin
any
Cater
quarterback
a rig
in the
down.
NFL.
We,
DK's a great player. Lockett's a great player. Their 3 tight end package is
not the
awesome.
best featherweight on earth.
Kenneth Walker, their
I mean,
rookie
that's an
tailback, has
extremely
been really good. Their 2 rookie
set.
tackles have been
That's probably the only
fantastic.
thing that you
I like
couldn't say about
defensively, they've gone
Calvin
from
Cater.
a
He checks
4-man
about
front
every
to a
other
5-man
box.
front.
He is definitely like
their
one
corner
of
Woolen,
the
the
7 best
rookie, is
featherweights
playing
on
out of
earth.
his
But
mind.
he's
Going to be defensive rookie of the year. So
Arnold Allen may be
San Francisco
the
to me is
best.
the team to beat
Right.
in the NFC West
Undefeated
right
in his
now.
run in the UFC.
But the way that
To
Geno's
get
playing,
the coin flip value that I thought was
it's really hard to sit here and say
I also love the over.
The MVP of the league,
both of
like
these
Josh
guys
Allen,
have been on a decision
but I can't
streak.
sit here and tell
I think
anybody
like
Lamar is more than him or Jalen Hurts is more than him. Like right now, Geno, you can say Geno Smith,
outside of that,
Patrick
I
and
think
Josh
they've all been
in
decisions.
lockstep for MVP in the
Cater's
NFL.
coming off, I think, 3 decisions in a row or something like that. I loved it. Oh, that was over 4.5, so that's a lot of time.
Cater's hard to finish
go,
typically by damage too.
Exactly.
How do you see him fitting in here in terms of what you like to do and in terms of
I love the
what else
over.
you have at wide receiver?
Doesn't hit.
Maybe does he give you something you don't have at wide receiver right now? And Brad, I'll have the same question as well.
Like, you know, I hate to be that guy.
Yes, Adam, I think that's a nice addition by Brad.
I think
he is healthy.
I'd do it all over again. You know what I'm saying?
Which is a good thing. Look forward to getting him in the mix somehow.
But let's get to it,
working through that.
Round 1.
We're meeting as an offensive staff and going through those things now. So we'll just see how it sorts out here.
Okay.
We got 1 foot.
I thought you were going to say he's perfect Cater. I was like, no way.
We like to get
but it was a weird 10-8. But it was like I didn't know what else to do but give it a 10-8. Because so what happens here? We have a TJ Dillashaw moment where, unlike
I think it'll be a gradual process going forward.
Where Delije caused the injury, Cater, this one was pretty fucking fluky. I try not to use the word fluky.
Just landed wrong on his leg after throwing the flying knee.
Took a bad step. Yeah, took a bad step, like a non-contact, what most likely is an ACL tear. No doctor here, obviously.
Right to it, man. Another NFL record.
But non-contact injury, took a bad step. It was nothing that Allen did. Allen tried to say, I think, my pressure caused him to take that step. All right, we're getting kind of in the weeds there a little bit. It was a non-contact injury.
It's a must-win. It's a big game for us.
For sure. I throw it in the category of fluke, and I don't like throwing it in the category of fluke. Like, I didn't think the Dillashaw thing was a fluke.
Get to 5-3. 1 and 2 in the
This
division.
is in the fluke category, I think. Do you agree?
So you have
yeah, for sure. It was nothing that Arnold Allen did, and it wasn't like Cater throwing a leg kick. You know what I mean? And tearing it that way. It was like he just landed on it wrong on the flying knee attempt.
Just take a deep breath and relax.
Exactly.
But since then, you've won 4 out of 5.
Allen's a dog, dude. Allen
just ran in on it.
He did not hesitate. There was no moral compass. No.
Well, he's going to fight.
And that's what guys should do, but there's a human element that, like, most guys pull back because they're, good guys, a lot of these guys.
Since then, 13 touchdowns,
Arnold Allen.
1 pick.
was a fucking wolf on an injured lamb. Just went even harder.
Yeah,
it's like a lion.
or just like ground pounding.
Is what it is.
Oh man, but like the no hesitant, like that you can't. Like that was
compared to Joe Montana.
For lack of better terms, like Mamba mentality. Like you can't like teach that, coach that. That was like fight or flight, like killer instinct. Like he didn't even pause for a thought.
Yeah, growing up.
Yeah, no.
We've seen that. Like remember in the O'Malley fight where he's like, do I got to do this? All right, I'm gonna do it. Or even in Ghana, I feel like there was a slight pause before he Stipe. But this one, it was like instant. Like he was like animal instinct, fight or flight. Just Allen's a fucking dog.
As a player.
I mean, he is, but why is he so bad on the mic? You know? Because as we discussed, Calvin Kattar pops his knee out and gets pounded on for the first round. It's 10-9, right? I have it. You have it 10-8. Arnold Allen, I mean, if he doesn't blow his knee out, though, probably still a 10-9 round for Allen, I think, without getting all the ground and pound and all that. So I love your over and Arnold Allen winning. I think those are both good bets, still in hindsight.
Allen was outboxing. That's the thing, too. Everybody dick rides Kattar's boxing, and it is very, very, very good. But I mean, Allen's left hand was landing essentially at will.
It was way faster. He was way faster in and out. Calvin Kattar couldn't deal with it, and like his jab was even struggling to land because Arnold Allen was off the center line so much.
I mean, Allen's a big featherweight, man. He's strong.
Right, very strong. Good showing from Arnold Allen for sure. And like, when
I'm going to have these things as light sellers. If somebody blows them away with an Alvin Kamara offer, maybe the Bills, somebody that they could use just like that
so anyway, like,
game-changing running back, maybe they'll do it. Maybe a small defensive piece, but they actually feel pretty good about how they're moving the ball. Andy Dalton's down. The defense, you know, is still going to be solid, even though it's aging.
Kicking it.
Yeah.
I think they
kicking the
just
shit out of
tight.
it.
They don't buy or
as
they
you
don't sell
should,
it. I
man.
know
But
what we're saying here. They're sitting at 3-5. Look, they still feel that they can get things turned around and win that division.
And I'm saying
believe that may be the
that's a
case.
box that Allen checked.
I don't know that
we all
anyone
wondered,
at this moment in
how
time
much
are
is
going
a
to blow them
dog
away
is
with
this
the
guy?
Alvin Kamara situation
He
because
may
that
be the
number
meanest featherweight.
kicks are going to be
He really
like,
might be.
He may be the meanest, scariest
Winston
featherweight. I'm not saying best, most technical. Obviously, Volk's a goat, but
still in games.
Dude, he may be as far as just like bad intentions.
I'm with Jeremy. Light sellers. They got blown away
scary
and
guy
take
to be
something from
locked
that
in the
division.
cage
Who the
with.
hell
Allen
knows
may
what's
be
going
the
to happen
top
there?
one.
Yeah, Josh Emmett's pretty bad intention too in some of his fights where dudes get hurt because he'll rush a dude like. But that I think I say out of just like straight.
You look over there.
Why it's the first name I think of because I think there's a lot of guys with killers. Maybe not to Arnold Allen's level quite. A few of them for sure. Hamza for sure. Like there's certain guys.
And the Cowboys will see those Eagles on
Christmas
Eve. I'm just letting you know we will see
As far as just like killer instinct, like actually mean guy.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna wait because I'm glad you dropped that in here. So I'm
like
not just
Evloev
is
mean in like a silent killer Terminator, like stoic robot.
Evloev, Topuria.
Topuria's a dog.
So thank you for saying that.
Those are probably my bets for dog. You know, Brian Ortega might.
I love it when you guys.
Yeah, different kind of dog. Chin, more of a defensive chin dog can take a pounding, never quit, Rocky Balboa shit. But
Dallas disgusting.
Take a pounding like a horse.
When they eating their steak at Del Frisco's, feeling all good.
Let's talk about what's next for Arnold Allen because on the mic, Bisping tries to force him to call someone out, and Arnold Allen chokes the and Arnold Allen chokes the fucking moment like a choke, just chokes it, and fucking says like, I don't know, I don't really want to like call anyone out like that, like.
And then he talks shit. He says our division stinks. I might as well go to 55 too. What the fuck are you talking about? This division's full of studs, full of killers, full of fun fights. Interim title shot there for the taking. Bisping's handing you an alley-oop, and you're just
Zeke
like,
is one of the leaders
you shouldn't care about. Like he tells us all we shouldn't care.
We see a guy come out.
It doesn't
15
matter.
runs, and he does a great
want
job.
a title shot. He says like literally like what not to say.
Well, and then Volk
never rushed the ball 30 times.
He's like, well, if Volk's going to fight 55 and vacate, I guess I'll take an interim shot. Like, sure, give me one.
It's
like, sure, give you one.
And then Bisping says against who? Once again, like, God damn it, like, help me help you.
And it's pretty obvious who he's supposed to call out, right?
An explosive team.
Well, I don't think it's that obvious. I think we're forgetting a very important name here.
And that's what Zeke gives that.
Yair.
Not even mention. Not even mention.
Oh,
This is Dak and
Josh
Zeke's team.
Emmett.
There's an order.
Well,
if
here's
you're
what
going
I'm
to win
saying.
anything, you must
5
have an
months
order
ago, 4
in that
months ago,
team.
whenever
And this
it
is
was,
Dak
we
and
were
Zeke's
all
team.
saying
They came
that
in
Yair
together,
versus
they're
Emmett
boys
for the
together,
interim
you
title was
split
like
that
the
up. I
obvious
think you
fight to
split
make,
up the
like a
team.
no-brainer,
And I
not even
hope,
worth
Jerry,
having a
and I
conversation.
hope
So I don't think we can
Mike
go from
McCarthy,
that to
I
like
hope they are not letting
Yair's
this
not in the
virus into the
conversation. I
computer
agree.
that y'all
If it's
talking
me,
about right now.
I'm
Because
doing
it was the
Emmett
same
versus
virus you were
Allen.
trying to throw when
However,
Cooper Rush played
I don't
rough.
think
We
you
don't
can
need
go
that anymore.
from
This is how Dak
Yair,
got to
like
play. I'm
obvious,
just so tired of
you know,
all of
interim
that mess.
title
Every time the Cowboys
opponent for
start doing
Emmett
well,
to
we
like,
start
oh,
coming up
Yair
with
doesn't
ways.
deserve to
And
be in
it's
the
just ways to
conversation.
mess
And then
with
what do
the
you do with
Cowboys.
Yair?
They should not keep
Exactly. What
Dak
would
where
you do
he
with
is.
Yair?
That's how
mean,
we're winning right
the
now.
winner, I mean, but also I see your point that Yair does himself no favors. He fights like once every 3 years. Does he deserve a favor or any? Probably
We
not.
don't
So I get where you're coming from. I think there's a. But I love this division, dude.
This right
Because I
here.
mean,
That's why I say yes,
I'm a real big Evloev guy.
Because
you got
if he was
Bryce
with Patrick
Mitchell
Mahomes,
fighting, he booked
I
against
said, no
Topuria.
way. We're not going to let him do that. They're not going to let him be that explosive and make those plays. But they don't respect Tua in that manner. In this short passing game that Mike McDaniel has put together and using that talent and that gift.
But you can,
absolutely,
I
I
think
believe
Yair is the
this
fight
dude here may be the first to get 2,000
run that back since his shoulder came out last
one time he was told that he was just a special teams player. And I believe he'll be the first one to go get 2,000 yards as a receiver.
You sold me. I think he's going to do it as well.
Right? Or did Yair beat?
Now,
no, Holloway beat Yair and then Yair beat Ortega technically.
19 plus.
That's right. That's right.
Matthew
So
Stafford. Anyway,
I think Emmett, Yair,
I think
and Yair's two.
The ability and the talent.
That's what I'm saying.
Emmett Yair's cool if Arnold Allen doesn't want to call for his shot. You know what I'm saying? If he wants to be a pussy about it.
And
then do Arnold Allen, Max Holloway.
Like
Give him some
Arnold
shine.
Allen, Max
plenty
Holloway
capable of
would be
beating the
pretty
football
fucking
team.
sick.
Mike Gesicki, their tight end.
I
The
like
guys
pretty
in their
fucking
offense is
sick.
plenty
And then
capable of
Ortega's
getting the
gonna
ball
have to
to.
fight
The
back a
running
little bit, I
backs
think.
in this offense with Mike McDaniel coming over
But the back end's so interesting too. You got Evloev hanging out there.
At some point, defenses are at least going to sit there and go, well, we're going to take Tyreek away. And I know that's easier said than done.
Bryce Mitchell's
People have
fighting.
tried it. But as we get into
Topuria,
these,
14,
last 8-9 games of the season, playoff seeding, I think we're going to start seeing defenses really hone in on saying, okay,
Giga hanging out there. Korean Zombie's just wasting a spot, if we're being honest. You got Kattar, who is just that weird kind of gatekeeper spot in his career.
Bootlegs to the right. Pass protection. Waits. Scrambles left. Now Rainbows into the end zone.
Because like everyone in Topuria could be the 2,000 guys, but we just don't know it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like 24 months from now, we could be looking back, one of those guys is the guy. Or maybe Giga really did just have a bad night and he just goes back to living thinking his way to the top. Like,
this week is first touchdown.
I don't think any of those things is like unfathomable. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, Volk says he's going to come back and defend often, but they all say that. You know what I'm saying? They all say that, and they never do. I love Volk. Volk deserves any benefit of the doubt. He's never done us fans wrong. He's never done the promotion wrong. He's done everything right. He's active. He's fun. He's badass. He takes on all comers. He seeks out the hardest fights. He's fun on the mind.
Great champion.
Great champion. I mean, pretty much
good social media presence.
Good social, exactly. The YouTube channel's doing good. So I think he checks a lot of boxes. And if he doesn't come back,
Cousins is
I think that the belt's going to play music. I think all of
that's what I think too. That's what I think. I think the guys under Volk there's like 5 in the same tier. Which Calvin Kattar's not in, which is what we talked about.
That was a tough play right there because I saw you see man-to-man coverage because just like you said, Mike the tight end's out at one, Isaiah Simmons is covering that tight end, but you just don't have the time to run that route. Good route by Justin Jefferson.
But yeah, on any given night, any of those guys could beat each other. The Ortegas of the world, the Josh Emmets of the world, the Yairs, the Holloways,
the Arnold Allens,
the Arnold Allens, and like I said, I'll probably
Josh gives it to Isaiah McKenzie on the end around, gets near the end zone. Is he in? Yes, touchdown Buffalo. Isaiah McKenzie on the end around hits the end zone for the Buffalo touchdown.
They could be close. They just got to get there.
Isaiah McKenzie shows off his quickness, his elusiveness, end around to the left side, makes 2 guys miss.
The Burns fight, or before, you know what I mean? Like when Shemaiah was fighting the Mears charts of the world, you know what I mean? Like he was maybe the best guy in the world, but was We just didn't know yet. He had got the opportunity. So,
I actually thought Jerry seemed pretty lucid. Jerry actually made sense. The things
what the heck that lucid mean?
It means that he had made some sense.
But I was
like,
we're
going to have a debate between Cooper and Dak, like Prescott and Rush. He said what Zeke can do. Now what they need to do, because it's a copycat league, is I need Kellen Moore to go watch the San Francisco 49ers from yesterday and figure out how they get in pony personnel, which we both know is too bad. Halfbacks, and now Zeke can do all those things that you want him to do, and he don't have to have the ball. We can give the ball to Tony Pollard. You think Zeke can block?
I think right now Mitchell's a big jump up.
You think Zeke is great on short yardage? Let him freaking run it on short yardage. Zeke can do all those things. And then Tony Pollard can get his 15 to 17 touches a game, be super explosive, and never have to do none of the hard stuff. I think Jerry Jones is making a lot of sense. Yeah, but he just don't have to say Zeke. Listen, I get it. You know him well. About to make me sound smarter than I really
Ryan Hall, which was interesting stylistic, but not aging that well. Win over Damon Jackson's kind of aging well. Yusuf Zalal's a good win. And then that's all his UFC fights. So, I mean, he's fought some decent competition. Not like Bryce Mitchell's a huge jump up from all those guys, though.
Right, but Topuria looks good, and he's big for the weight class because he fought at 55 and still looked pretty swole. And now he's coming back down and still looks swole.
Physical guy. Then and then who has Bryce Mitchell really beaten? Let me see, where's that at? Where's Bryce Mitchell? Bryce Mitchell, he's beaten Barbosa, was obviously his best win. Charles Rosa, Andre Feely. Yeah, so definitely higher level competition. But Bryce Mitchell's weird to think about because he's kind of a jiu-jitsu fighter, but he's wrestling heavy. He has a good... And Topuria likes to be on top, too. But, I don't know. I think Mitchell stylistic-wise, but also I think Topuria probably has way more dangerous hands. Like, could he maybe knock out Mitchell? But Mitchell could probably sub Topuria. I don't know, man.
Do you think it's funny that Paddy Pimblett's fighting on this card as well?
Because him and Topuria have beef. Topuria's been wanting that fight a lot. Yeah. No, I don't think that's an accident. You know what I'm saying? Also, I like that they gave Paddy a slight jump up. Like, we officially can't say can at this point. Now,
yeah, Jared Gordon's a good fighter.
Good fighter. No, I can't. Still slow rolling him a little bit, but, you know, at least we're getting closer to what we want there.
Right.
But yeah, man, like I said, as anticlimactic as this fight was, as this main event was, this Kattar Allen fight, I'm glad that it happened because, like I said, right, wrong, or indifferent, it proved clarity. And like I said, Allen was doing things even before, because the knee injury was a fluke, but Allen was still showing that he was pretty much beating up Kattar even before the injury and like kind of regardless of the injury. I think Allen's a guy. Allen could end up being the best out of all these guys, man.
You think so?
Could. I mean, easily. I mean, not easily could, but I mean.
I wonder if Allen's going to be better than Holloway or someone like that. You know what I mean? Just matchup-wise.
Maybe not Holloway at his peak. And I know Holloway is not as old as we think he is, but he is getting older. And he has a lot of miles on him. You know, a lot of money, maybe a little comfortable. I don't know. I just don't know if it's like. He looked great against the Yair. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just guys coming up, and Holloway's been at the top for so long.
It'd be very interesting. I'm very interested by it, honestly.
So is that our final consensus breakdown matchmaking take? Is we want Allen versus Holloway since Allen didn't take advantage of and then you do Yair versus Emmett for the interim title since Arnold Allen fumbled the bag and Sandhagen his career.
Yep, and then Ortega probably gets the loser of
Emmett Yair,
or the loser of Holloway and Arnold Allen. Like, he's in a good spot to get the loser of that, and his shoulder's obviously going to have to get fixed. So
yeah, it gives him time to heal up for sure. No, I'm down for that. But like I said, for Arnold Allen to come out at the end and be like, featherweight sucks, but yeah, we just spent 30 minutes talking about how like interesting and, you know, badass these featherweights are. Arnold Allen, man, honestly, I thought he was going to gain me as a fan in this first main event. He may have lost me as a fan.
Yeah, he's so bad on the mic. He just needs to fight.
Horrendous on the mic, great in the cage, man. Hey, it was a fun episode, brother. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button if you like MMA content, if you're an MMA fan. Leave some comments if you agree with any of our takes. If you cashed any bets this weekend, let us know. Check us out on Twitter at Beefy Breakdown. We can talk about the fights, engage with us. Appreciate your time, brother. That was fun.
Yes, sir. I will see you guys. Let's see. We got a fight night next week and then a pay-per-view the weekend after that out of Adesanya Pereira. So we will see you guys 2 weeks in a row here coming up.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it, man. Each and every card, each and every